Hi there, my name is Nick Vallely. I am the product lead for data management for VMware Tanzu. Today I'm going to walk you through briefly some user interface tweaks that we've made as of the most recent release, June 2022 of our product. So let's dive right in. I'm going to be logging in as the provider, which is our sysadmin of sorts, to this user interface. I'm going to talk through the different things we've added. So we've added a namespaces category here, and namespaces essentially gives you the ability to separate your environment, so your underlying infrastructure, your data store, your network, your backup storage, from the database itself in a namespace. And this would enable teams to have their own playground of sorts within that environment that they are able to use and utilize without conflicting with others. And in this case, we have one namespace created for all of the databases on this environment. This is a demo environment, but just clicking through, I'll show you specifically what that looks like. So you have a typical vSphere cluster that you can link to. These are environments. And then you have a data store that you've selected for this namespace specifically. You have a network that you've supplied. You have some storage for both local and cloud. And for any given namespace, you're going to have the same types of alerts you would have for your environment. And those are listed here. Within the database metrics, you're going to have similar metrics that you would have for your environment too. And these are going to be specific to any given database. These are your typical utilization metrics within those SRE principles. How much of the network am I utilizing? CPU, disk, memory. And then you will also have the same data store metrics, and you'll also be able to know which organizations are associated to this namespace. So that organization is the user breakdown that has access to this namespace. So that's a brief overview of namespaces and the addition there. We'll walk into databases next. We've added filtering. This is slightly different than the 1.2 version of this, but it gives you the ability to filter down on the virtual machine name that you've given it, even the namespace that you've selected, the different status values, as well as tags, roles, and users. And this is to just help shrink down the list to maybe just the user, just yourself, and what databases you own. As well, we've added 3 columns, CPU, memory, and storage. This is to give you an indication of the size of the VM that your database is on and the core utilization by that specific database and vendor. And the last thing I'll point out here is we've added the ability to export this as a CSV or XLS, so you can take it and see that in some other tool set. Other things that we've changed within this release, we have renamed plans to VM plans to be more explicitly calling out the fact that these are plans for the virtual machine itself and not necessarily the database. And then we've also renamed templates to database templates so that it's more congruent with the type of template you're creating. And what I will show you, or what others will show you in a different video, is the provisioning that we've added for SQL Server. There are other features besides just the UI tweaks I'm going through that were rolled out in 1.3.0. So you'll see those in other videos. And lastly, within System Audit, we've also added that capability to export. So you can export these audit logs and know who did what when for compliance and audit purposes. That really concludes the entirety of the UI changes that we've made. Check back into our channel for other updates that came with 1.3.0. Thanks a lot for listening.